Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Ontario Aquaculture Research Centre. I'm your host, Kaylee Moore, one of the agricultural assistants here at OARC. If you're looking to learn more about aquaculture, you're in the right place. On today's episode, we have Mike McQuire, Aquaculture and Aquaponics Specialist with the Ministry of Agricultural, Food and Rural Affairs, or known as OMAFRA, joining us today.
Hi guys, and welcome back to our channel. I'm super excited to introduce Mike McQuire, an Aquaculture and Aquaponics Specialist with the Ministry of Agricultural, Food and Rural Affairs, or known as OMAFRA. So, before we chat about your current role, can you just give us a little bit of your history within the aquaculture industry?
Yeah, sure, Kaylee. It's great to be here. I suppose for me, aquaculture started at a fairly young age. I had a real passion for fishing, and I spent a lot of time in the Parry Sound and Manitoulin Island area. And this is really where I was exposed to aquaculture for the first time and where I learned of aquaculture. And I suppose this is what you could say sort of lit the spark for my aquaculture career. I had a genuine passion for fish and enjoyed eating fish. And, I felt at the time, and I still do feel, that aquaculture can provide an opportunity to sustainably feed the planet and also divert pressure from wild fisheries, so protecting wild fisheries. So essentially in the early 2000s, I moved to British Columbia and I started working for a major salmon farming company. I spent a couple years on the West Coast and then I moved to the Yukon, so I moved north. And I worked on an Arctic char farm and I did a lot of work with broodstock and egg development. And from there, I moved back to my home province of Ontario, where I began working for the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry in their fish culture section. I worked as a fish culture technician. While working for the Ministry of Natural Resources, I was lucky enough to have a secondment where I worked at Fleming College for a year. And I helped support their successful reintroduction of their program, their aquaculture program. And I suppose that brings us sort of to present day, where I work as OMAFRA's Aquaculture and Aquaponics Specialist.
Well, that's amazing. We've kind of touched upon this in other videos about just like moving around where the work is and getting that experience. And I mean, for yourself, you traveled pretty much coast to coast in Canada, which is amazing. And you've landed yourself, a great position, and that's super exciting for yourself. But so now that we know a little bit about your past, can you just give us an overview of what your role is and what this means for the aquaculture industry?
Yeah, sure, Kaylee. Well, as OMAFRA's Aquaculture and Aquaponics Specialist, I work to support sustainable sector growth and development of both the aquaculture and aquaponics sectors. So this has me involved in various levels of government, working on initiatives and committees, as well as working with established producers who may be experiencing challenges or barriers in the sector. And my job also involves working with the public who may be interested in starting an aquaculture venture. So really, I think information transfer and education are important components of my job. I'm involved in various speaking engagements, including the Getting Started in Aquaculture and Aquaponics workshop that's offered through the Ontario Aquaculture Research Centre.
Yeah, perfect. Unfortunately, I don't think, we didn't get to have one this year, and hopefully with COVID and stuff like that, we'll be able to host another introduction to aquaculture and aquaponics here very soon. That's what kind of initiated the startup of Instagram and this channel, is to get some information out there because we aren't able to do our standard tours and seminars and things like that. So hopefully we can get back to that stuff shortly. So OMAFRA has been a long-time supporter of the aquaculture industry in Ontario, specifically with special research calls for aquaculture research activities. What future needs do you see in aquaculture research?
Well, I do see research as playing a vital role in aquaculture development in the province, and I think the Ontario Aquaculture Research Centre will play an important role in aquaculture research in Ontario. And I suppose if you were to highlight the research needs for Ontario, I think they're very similar to the rest of sort of global aquaculture. And I really feel they lie with genetic research to improve stock productivity through genetic marker-assisted breeding. Also to continue to develop and refine recirculating aquaculture technology, so RAS, recirculating technology. I would say that we need to continue to develop alternative fish feed ingredients to divert the reliance on fish meal from the oceans. There's a need for research needs surrounding species development, so developing new species to access new markets. And I'd say finally, there's really a real definite research need to improve the environmental sustainability of aquaculture. So any technology that's going to improve environmental sustainability and reduce the environmental footprint of aquaculture is sort of at the top of the research list's needs.
That's awesome. And I mean, I agree, like research is super important for development and improving. And I mean, there's so many new things coming out and the future holds so many new different things that there's only one way really to like figure out if that works. And that's, you know, doing the research and putting it, you know, in an actual aquaculture facility. I mean, that's why we are kind of here, is so that we can help grow that food production for fish farming and utilize the research facility. So as I was just saying, we focus here on the research. So here at our research center, we are often contacted by people looking for information about this industry. So when you get contacted by people interested in getting into aquaculture industry, is there more of an interest in fish farming or the aquaponics side of things?
Oh, it's difficult to say because it does vary. There is interest from both aquaculture and aquaponics. I would say recently during the COVID-19 pandemic, we've seen a slight upturn in aquaponics inquiries, especially at the hobbyist scale. And I think really what's happening is people are examining where their food comes from, food security, and how they can provide some of their own food security.
No, and that's for sure. I mean, I even personally, like I've seen that as well. I know we built a bigger garden this year in our backyard. I noticed people are utilizing our local butcher way more. So I could definitely see people getting into aquaponics more and more so that they can, you know, grow, specific vegetables and stuff like that year round in their own basement or garage or something like that. So what steps do you think the Ontario industry needs to kind of take to grow or to continue to grow?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that the Ontario aquaculture sector has made significant progress in the last 5 years. There's been improvements to regulatory framework. There's been improvements to on-farm technology. There's been improvements to processing capacity. So there's been real significant progress in the last 5 years. And really, I think we need to take the same approach to the next 5 to 10 years that we did to the last 5 to 10 years. And if we do, I think we're going to be really successful in growing the sector. But I suppose if you were to boil it down into sort of one key word, I would say it's diversity. To diversify our production across open water net pen and land-based systems, to diversify our species of production to access greater markets, and to diversify our producer base across the sector. And if we can achieve these levels of diversity, I think it will go a long way to improving the productivity and the growth of the sector.
Yeah, I think that is super important as well. I mean, here at our facility, we're trying to be able to culture some lake whitefish, and I think that one specific species could be, I think, in my opinion, pretty successful here in Ontario. And it'd be very interesting to see where the next 5 to 10 years really takes that specific species. But like you're saying, like the diversity, our main focus here is rainbow trout in Ontario, so it'd be nice to see other species kind of become as part of our aquaculture industry and grow that percentage of our involvement in the industry as well. So that's all the questions I have for you today. I don't know if you have anything else to share or want to add to the interview.
Not really. It's been nice to sort of have this virtual meeting. I know our sort of in-person meetings have been interrupted in the last sort of 9 months or so. And I look forward to having the workshops in person in the future at some point. We don't really know when that will be, but hopefully in the time being that these sort of impromptu discussions and videos can sort of make do and provide some information to the public while we're sort of on this hiatus from being in physical contact with each other.
Yeah, so thank you, Mike McQuire, for joining me today and kind of discussing with all of us, what your role is and the impact you're currently having in the aquaculture industry. So thanks for sitting with me and chatting.
Thanks, Kaylee.
Hey guys, I hope you liked the video today. If you did, please swim on over and hit the like button and subscribe. Comment below if you have any questions you want answered in any of our future videos. Hope to see you next time.